go.
All right. Today is June 30th, 2022. My name is Adolfho Romero, and I'm here with my colleague,
Ronan Hart.
and we are here on behalf of the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program at the University of Florida. And today we are here at the Chappie Museum in Pensacola area, and we have today the pleasure to interview
Miss Dianne P. Robertson.
All right, Ms. Dianne P. Robertson, pleasure to meet you. Thank you for making time today to be with us here today. And so we would like to begin this interview by having the conversation about where were you born, how was your uprising like, and when and where?
Oh, well, I was born in Pensacola, Florida, on the west side of Pensacola, Florida. And I was raised by my great-grandmother, who was a very strict woman. And I was in a neighborhood where we had togetherness, family. You know, we knew each other. We had our school teachers and all our leaders in our community. Mm-hmm.
What was that community like?
Oh, it was like a togetherness. You know, everybody was really close to each other. We helped one another out. You know, like my grandmother would babysit some of the kids in the neighborhoods while the women would go to work, and she would keep the children. And we learned, and I learned so much out of that neighborhood. I learned how to make soap, and you know, we just had all the little activities. We had the clubhouse that we would go to, learn how to make an apron, and we had brownies and Girl Scouts. I was a member of the brownie team, and we all had to do our little chores and stuff. And during the summer months, the bus would come up to the center and take us on the beach, and we would go. Went to a campground. That's where we went, and we would spend a week at the campground, and they would teach us how to live in the woods, and in case we saw a snake, how to kill a snake. And we did all those kind of things. We took palmettos from the trees, and we would plant those and make shoes and different kind of stuff out of those when we was coming up.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. Can you tell us a little bit about your parents? Were they originally from Pensacola region as well?
Yeah, my ancestors, I found out that my ancestors was dated, some of them was the Spanish regime, during the Spanish regime. That's why I own the property that they owned in 1897. I built my retirement home on that, and that's where I live at today.
What did your parents do for a living?
My mother was a nurse, and my dad worked for the Navy Yard. Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, did you attend Miss Lily's school? That's right.
No, I didn't. But my uncles and all of my aunts, even in their obituary, they tell about their education. I should have bought a copy and so I could show you guys that my uncle talked about. He went to school here at Miss Lily James, and so both of my aunts talked about that. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So what was your education like then?
Oh, well, mine was like elementary school. I went to L.A. Kersey School, and then I went to the junior high school, and then I went to the high school, Booker T. Washington High School, and I finished in 1960.
Mm-hmm. Did you go to college after that?
I went to college after I was in Washington State, okay?
Okay. So then
after some years, and I worked for the feds, and I had like 30 some hours, 3,000 and some hours of schooling from the feds, from the federal government. And then I went on and got my social art degrees at the at Olympic College. Mm-hmm.
During this time when you got your associate's degree, was this already during post or?
No, this was during the time right before while I was working for the feds. Mm-hmm.
Okay, was it during segregation or desegregation times?
It was during segregation. It was segregation. Segregation had begun when I got my social art degrees, and also I had a 2+2 degree in the federal service, and I only had like a couple of semesters to go before I get my degree in the industrial technology, but I didn't get that finished.
So then what did come after high school? Where did you go after you graduated from Booker T. Washington?
Oh, I went to Norfolk, Virginia, and I stayed there for 6 months. And I left Norfolk, Virginia, went to Portsmouth, Virginia. Then I left there for about 6 months and went to Patuxent River, Maryland, and I stayed there for 3 years. And I was a substitute teacher there. They had a training where this, if you go and get trained, you could be a substitute teacher there in Pax River, Maryland. And then when I left Pax River, Maryland, I went out to the Pacific Northwest. I went to Bremerton, Washington, and spent my entire life there, most of my life there.
I'm curious about the places in Virginia and Maryland. Did you have family there? Or
Yeah, I had kids. I had my youngest son was born in Patuxent River, Maryland. And I had 2 kids, and I had 1 kid when I left here, and I had another kid and 2 kids in Norfolk, Virginia. One in Norfolk, Virginia, and one in Portsmouth.
Is there any reason you didn't want to stay in those places, or are you just looking for work?
Oh, well, I was with the Navy. The Navy moved us around. The Navy moved us around.
And then they move you to
And then I had an opportunity to go to California with my husband there, but I didn't want to go, so I just stayed in Bremerton, Washington.
So you must have liked Washington a lot.
Yeah, I did, and it was real quiet and real settled place, like.
What was the kind of community like where you settled?
Well, it was predominantly white. Wasn't that many blacks there. They had when I first got there, they had got a first black police officer there, and it was predominantly a white community. You know, it wasn't that many blacks. The blacks that was there came there in World War II, and they say it wasn't any blacks there at all. But through my research work, I found that the first pioneer was there in the 1800s.
So
and he was married to an Indian woman. Okay. Yeah, I wrote a story on that.
So, but you had to uncover that history. So most people didn't really know that perception that this was a very white state. Did that kind of make it difficult for you and your family living there when you did?
No, no. I was just, because I had been around a lot of, being in the military, you're around a lot of whites. So, no.
How was that experience in Washington, being in the military in the Navy area?
It was really a good place. I liked it real well. That's the reason why I decided to stay in it, because I had an opportunity to go to California, but I didn't want to go.
What was the culture like?
It was like,
I haven't been to Washington, so I don't
oh
really
yeah,
know.
it was like, nothing like hillbilly like. Okay, I didn't want to say that. But that's what it was like.
Okay.
We used to go out and dance, and we used to act just like they used to act,
That sounds fun.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, that was my experience.
So you
And I when I got there, I met a lady from the museum, and I got acquainted with her, and then I told her what I was interested in, and so we worked together on putting the history together, and she told me, well, it's not that much that I can help you with, because she said there's not a lot of black history here. But I went to repository centers, I went to archives, I went everywhere, graveyards. I went to many graveyards and all the different archives and the federal places where I could go and get information from, and did a real good research.
Did you ever find any backlash while doing research, or anybody's like, why are you digging through the archives, or what are you trying to look for,
A lot of people told me that, you're not going to find anything, but I continue to look and research, okay? And if I came up with a name, I researched that name until I could actually find it. And I met a lady who had told me she was there during World War II. And so she said, we lived in this community, she said, and she said it was all nothing but, it was like a project house, like, and so she said, my sister had a picture of it. And so I went and researched that. I found the guy who took pictures during the 1940s. And so he had did a picture of a black group who lived in, I forget what the name of the park. It was Port Orchard Park. But anyway, and then I found the picture of her, and then I brought it and showed it to her, and I said, this look like this might be you right here. And she said, yeah, that's, and her sister sent a copy of that picture of her. So, So I'm really good at researching work. You know, when I research, I make sure that I can look at a person and tell if that's a person even at a young age. I've been really, you know, I've been able to do that real well.
What got you interested in doing that in the first place?
Because I don't know, it's just something, it's just part of being an investigator. That's what they call me at work. I was an inspector. I was inspector for years, and so when you inspect, you know, you do a thorough inspection. You know, you go into the detail part of it, and that's how I found that picture that they showed you, the group picture of those kids. That's how I found my cousins and those in that. Yeah. And that was them.
With your research at the cemetery, what did you find?
Oh, grave sites and you know, and when they died and when they you know, and different stuff. And one guy was just as a piece of Seabeck, Washington, and his grave had torn it up. A lot of graves, you know, be destroyed by people, you know, so. They had torn up his grave, and so I had it fixed back up again.
So you were in Washington for nearly 50 years. How did you kind of see these communities change over that time?
Oh, I seen. Oh, well, I seen it change. Well, I seen the first black city councilwoman. Well, I was the first black city councilwoman. Okay.
Congratulations.
Okay.
That's awesome.
And I just saw a change in, and more people migrated there. You know, like Navy families moved there and stayed there, and we had our own little circle sometimes, you know, with Navy families, and I saw it grow really well. I don't know what it's like now that I left it, but they begged me not to leave.
I'd love to hear what it was like being on the city council.
Oh yeah, it was real nice. The changes I made was like the underground. We had where you get off the ferry, and we had a confusion, you know. So we put it underground where you could go underground and go into Bremerton. That was one thing that I voted for, and it was a lot of stuff. And there was an area over there in an old Navy housing area that was just really poor, you know, and a lot of poor people lived over there, and it was in real bad shape. And that was one of my areas, and I made a change there. And my name is on a big old brick out there. Where I did help make some changes over there in that area. Yeah. That was for low-income families, for poor people.
And you said you were there for 2 consecutive terms, right?
Yeah,
that's correct.
8 years.
8 years. Did you want to keep running afterwards, or?
Well, they wanted me to run before I came here, but I decided no, I was going to come on home.
So that was at the end of your time.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I feel like we covered the end and the beginning. So how long were you? I understand you worked for the federal government maybe after you were with the Navy?
No, I worked for the federal government when I first got there.
Okay, I see.
And until I spent 30 years there. And then I spent, like I said, I went to Spain and spent some time there. And then I worked for the airport. I worked at the airport. I didn't want to tell y'all all this. I worked for the airport, and I trained those guys how to, you know, to do the people coming in and out of the airport. Mm-hmm. And I worked there for about a year and a half, and then, like I said, and during that time I was going to college to try to get my degree too, to finish getting my degree. I wanted to get a master's degree, but I never did get a chance, an opportunity to get that. So, and then from there, I ran for city council seat and took the seat and twice, and then I wanted to. Then they wanted me to stay, and I told them no. I left in 2012 and came back here to Pensacola, Florida. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that covered a lot, but I guess first of all, what exactly brought you to Spain, and how long did you spend there?
Oh, okay. I spent a year in Spain. While I was working for the federal government, I was an inspector. I did all of their inspections. I inspected the engineers, okay? I told the engineers when they had to correct something, okay? And so they came out to recruit for somebody, for an inspector. And they say, well, Dianne just retired. And so they told me, I couldn't speak no Spanish. Come on. And so he said, so I went for the interview and I passed it. And I went to the interview and he said, I want her. And so I went for it. And
did you take your family with you to Spain?
No, just me. I was on pre diem, you know, for the Navy, and I spent a year there. I had to do all the train. I had to do all the trains that was coming into the United States. They had to meet the requirements of the United States the trails and stuff. You know, they couldn't bring those fast trains over until it got, you know. And I did all the inspection on 8 sets of trains. And the manufacturer, and when I got to Spain, all the workers, when we had lunch, we had a fifth of wine on the table for lunch.
That's about right.
A fifth of wine on the table, and everybody say, well, Dianne, we're going to sit at your table. Or either I see anybody can sit because I didn't drink, you know. And so, but that's what they had for lunch, a fifth of wine. Those guys, I don't see how they did it. I don't see how they did it, okay?
They needed a good inspection, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, they had a fifth of wine on the table every day for lunch.
When you weren't working so much, did you enjoy just living in Spain? Did you do much other than working?
Yeah, well, I didn't do too much. I got a chance to go to Carolina. I went outside of, I went to another little place in Spain. I got a chance to do that. And we had to get those planes, those trains back over to the United States. And so they was rushing me because I wanted to we had an opportunity to go to Paris, a trip to go to Paris, but I couldn't go because we had to get those trains back to the United States. Yep, that was something.
Definitely something. A year.
Like a lot of work.
Yeah, and a lot of sacrifice on that end too. You know, having your family and everything, and while they were waiting for you. A year afterwards, coming back. How was that return? Coming back.
Oh, it was nice. It was nice. My family was glad for me to be back, and everything, and. I just came on back and went to work again. Yeah. I wish I could have brought some of the stuff so I could show you guys, you know. Because I got four folios of the work that I've done, you know, and the pictures, some of the especially the train thing, the special thing. It's called Talgo Train Station, and it was in Miranda de Ebro, Spain. It was up in the northern part of Spain. And the company had been there since the 40s. It was an old factory company, and they had the Talgo trains.
What are some facts about the train system itself or tracks that you could tell us about that people don't consider that are very important to the building and making of them?
Okay, it was the penal it was a faster train than what we have here in the United States, and we had to meet the requirements of that whatever it was, we had to meet it. But on the train, if you ever in they had five of them went to Washington, to California, and five of them and three of them went to Las Vegas, from Washington to Las Vegas. And if you ever on the train, you'll see my name on there as the inspector on all of them. Wow. And we're Amtrak. Amtrak trains. Okay. That was the contract for the United States. Yeah, I wish I had. If I had known y'all, it was.
I'd love to see the pictures.
Okay. I tell you what, you guys, when you come back, I can bring you my whole portfolio and show it to you.
Absolutely.
Everything that I did, and I'm working with the history place here. They getting ready to put a book out for me now on have you guys did the Pink House over there on West Pensacola? Y'all haven't did the Ella Jordan House?
No, I was hearing about that from Ross. He was talking about that.
I wrote all the history on that.
Oh my goodness.
And Miss Ella Jordan was my next door neighbor when I was a little girl. So she was the mean lady of the neighborhood. Well, I always thought she was mean, but she was really outstanding woman.
So that's one, very important Pensacolian Pensacolian. Had you known or had you heard about Chappie James maybe while he was alive? Was he talked about a lot in Pensacola by people from Pensacola?
Okay, I can go. I have a newspaper article of my great aunt's wedding. It's right in the office there. If you guys don't mind me stepping out and getting it. And I'll show you Chappie James, what he was in the wedding of my great.
Please.
Okay, all right. Let me go get that for you guys real quick. This was the big newspaper. This was where I got most of my information. Let's see. Have you guys heard of that?
I don't know.
No.
The Color Citizen newspaper. It was that's where all the information, and this is. The brilliant wedding takes place at Allen Chapel Church.
This was 1924.
24, yeah.
I thought Chappie James was born around then. Wasn't he he would have been a young child then? Was he born?
He was 3 years old.
3 years old.
Okay. On the back of. See, this is a wedding. It tells you, this is in detail what the wedding was like. You guys should, if I can make you a copy, this will tell you what the wedding was like. This is my great aunt's wedding. And here he is right here, brilliant wedding. What does it say there? Ring bearer, who's that?
Little Dan James was, that would be Daniel James. Little Dan James was the ring bearer, which was born on a richly colored lavender pillow. His dress was a black velvet pants, white silk blouse, also stockings and slippers of white. That is incredible. Can we hold this up so the camera can see it well?
Yeah, you sure can.
Hold the bottom corner there.
Okay. Okay, is right here, ring bearer. And that was a brilliant wedding. You guys should hear that wedding.
Sounds.
Oh, it
splendid.
was. It was.
It made the newspaper.
Lifetime, that's for sure. The wedding of the year, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We'll get a picture with it. It's not
So he would have been a family friend then?
Yeah, that's right. That's why I'm back here.
Amazing. Did you met him?
No, really. I guess they were real good friends to the family, but you know, that was I wouldn't know anything about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if he was a family friend, maybe while he was. While he was
I
a
think my
general.
great aunt and those guys was connected in some kind of way, you know, here in Pensacola.
So you like would see him on the TV and be like, oh, I know that guy, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but anyway, these newspapers had a lot of information on what was going on in the community, and that's a lot of my work came from these newspapers, the Colored Citizen newspapers.
Do you know from what year to what year they ran?
They ran. I've seen one for 1912. I seen one from 1912 to about 1980 or 90. About 1980. Yeah.
Wow. So you moved back to Pensacola in 2012, and did you know right away you wanted to get involved in this? I believe it hadn't quite begun by that point, or maybe construction.
Yeah,
wasn't
well,
right?
I joined, I went to the Historical Society here, and they was telling me that the museum was going to get started here. So I jumped right into it. I said, oh, wow.
Can you tell us a little bit about the work that you did in here? Well, once you joined in, what was your role? What role did you play?
Okay, well, I helped those guys with the 501c3 to get that, and now I'm managing it. You know, I'm keeping up with all the financing and all the work that needs to be done here at the museum. I got some volunteers here. I think you guys interviewed one of the volunteers, and I'm with the FAAHPN. You guys know who that is, right? The African American Museums custodian.
It's tough to keep straight. I think I've heard.
The big map is out there in the,
Yeah, okay. I was looking at the map.
Yeah, and they got all the African American museums in Florida.
Right.
I'm connected with those guys. And I run the program, you know, daily. Well, we're open on sometime on Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays. We're open, and we having the different projects. Like I'm right in the process of getting some planes done, some of the planes that Chappie flew during his period of time, and I'm gonna have those put in, and hopefully we got another grant coming, and we're hoping to extend out here. This area here, the Flight Academy is going to I don't know whether they told you that or not, they're going to have a building out here. And so we're going to have that. So I'm working with a guy who's going to help us to design that area.
So I was able to hear a lot about the museum from Ross. Do you know a whole lot about the flight school and maybe how that started?
Oh, that started 25 years ago.
Okay.
So, and this is just the first time that they had somewhere to, you know, to have their schools, their school here. And they've been in session here for 5 years, just about 5 years now. But if you guys want to come back and do the Flight Academy, I can set that up. I tried to get the guy to, they was here, they just had a class here last week. Was their last week. They have week classes during the summer. And they got another class coming in, I think the 20-some of this month. They got another class coming. So if you guys want to come back, I'll try to see if I can set up an appointment for you guys because it's awesome of what they do too.
So we have a lot of reasons to come back.
A lot of reasons, a lot of hospitality on this end. Thank you so much.
All right.
I have a question. What does the Chappie James Museum mean to you personally? Like, what does it mean to you?
Oh, it's near and dear to my heart. It's just something that I enjoy doing, and I'm just hoping. I would like to work on getting more community people involved, because it's like I found out that a lot of the community people don't even know about Chappie James. He's not very known, and he did a tremendous job, and to be where he was, and I just think that we're working on trying to make things better for the community and get children involved in what it is to be a Chappie James, build some of these kids' morale up, so they can, and they really need pilots real bad nowadays. So,
That is correct.
So we're working on several projects, and I'm hoping to have a summer reading program put together too, because I did that in Florida. In Washington, I had a summer reading program, and it was real successful.
So you've seen the museum kind of make a difference in the community, you would say. What's been the impact?
Oh, I think it's been a special school for the past month. So I've had school groups coming in like mad. I had 5 different school groups already. Just this, since Dr. Williams became president. And he's spreading the word a lot too.
That's great.
We got a lot of connection here.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so it seems like you guys are expanding and are building more and more. It doesn't stop. Like whatever you guys done in the past decade, it's not just that, it's building and building. So like it just keeps on expanding. From what I heard, it's like a lot of folks, in the Florida region, they're telling the story of Chappie James, but it's like you guys are owning up to it and saying like, this is our story, rather than, the other museums, 300 plus museums talking about it. So
Right.
I think that's very impactful, regaining that narrative and protecting it for yourself.
Right. And you guys heard about the bridge they building, right?
The bridge.
Yeah, that's very
The
exciting.
bridge.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I don't know too much about it. All I know, it's a 3-mile bridge, and it's named after him. And they got I can show you the design that they have. What they're gonna put up there. The design of him and his plane. Yeah, so that would be another good story too.
Yeah, and just even by having the name, putting his legacy out there like that, people are more prone to come and want to see who is it. It's Chappie, Jane Chappie. It's like
We're going to get some interaction stuff too for the kids in the museum, and some more videos of him. I don't know whether you guys saw the video that we have in the museum already of him speaking.
think so.
Oh, they didn't show you guys that?
No, we got into the museum and just started.
like going
Okay, all right. Well, if you guys want to see that, it's just a few minutes. I can show you guys that. Him speaking in 1977, that's before he died.
It seems like he had a way with words and of kind of expressing his patriotism, and that's a big part of his legacy.
Right, being prepared, he was saying.
Yeah, it's very interesting, like the fact, like the way that even Chappie James, the teachers that he had, the way that they built his character, the community around him, the way they built his character, and the people that came out of those schools, like whether it's grammar school, elementary school, and how they're all stand-up citizens, the country making great moves.
Yeah.
And that it shows like the power of the community and what it was or what it is still. I'm not sure to what extent.
Yeah.
Maybe you could give us a little bit on that background, how it has developed over the years.
Oh, well, I know that a lot of I had a lady to come by to see the museum, and she told me she had went to school to Miss Lily James School, and she was a principal at the in Tennessee, and she came back and wrote a big article in the newspaper about Chappie Jane and the contribution that was made. So I think that we're getting the word out. You know what I mean? And I just hope that we can continue on doing what we're doing.
Are you still doing like research and looking through the records to
Yeah,
look
I
more
am.
on Chappie James?
I'm doing most of the research.
Wow.
And if I could get some more researchers, that would be nice. Because there's a lot of stuff that he did, that, we don't even have, Mm-hmm.
Have you made a call for like the community for whatever?
Yes, I have.
documentation?
I made a call for his artifacts, and the only thing I got is, I think you guys saw the stuff that I went to Tuskegee and got.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's the only thing that we have, and we're supposed to go back to Tuskegee in the near future and see what else that they have available for us. Mm-hmm.
That's really exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got the impression talking to Ross that Pensacola is a place that really cares about its history, and the city council wants to protect like all their historical architecture, and the community here, like even just in this neighborhood, has been really supportive. And you mentioned something about like a special tax that the neighborhood pays to fund projects, and that helped contribute to this.
Oh, the incentive tax, I think is
Something like that.
Neighborhood incentive tax.
Yeah.
Those dollars help to build this museum.
So you found the kind of neighborhood here really receptive to this.
Yeah, we was trying. We had a guy trying to get the property next door so we could extend out. And we had talked to that lady, and I guess people been in their homes for long years, don't want to give them up.
That's true.
But this one is for sale right here, so he's looking at trying to see if he can get that one. And he talking about making it a campus, like.
That'd be fantastic.
I mean, look at the expansion, how much you've done in the past just 10 years. You know, like I could see this becoming quite big. And I mean, if you already have a whole highway, or at least a bridge named, I mean, there's so much potential for this to keep on growing and growing. And I'm glad that we've been here before, like to do some interviews, so I mean, comparing that past interviews and then the now, we're seeing that growth and how it has expanded. So, and on our end, I think we're honored to say that, and that we're able to participate on.
Well, before you guys leave, I want to get a card from you guys, and I contact the Flight Academy guy because he just left here. And it's because I would really like for you guys to come back and interview those guys.
With how long it's been around, especially.
For 25 years or more.
Wow.
And if you walk down the aisle, you can see some of the pictures where they have had classes. Most of the time they had classes at the flight center, and they didn't have facilities. So now they have this facility, and they're going to expand.
The kids have such big smiles on their faces. You can tell. I wish I did that as a kid.
Oh, man. I love it. Like it does raise confidence, I think like on my end, it was just going to the library, doing something like that. Book reading right there. As a kid, but this kid.
Go up in a plane. They go up in.
You feel like, it just changes your psychology, the way of how you view the world or how you feel about yourself. So it's very powerful.
So before we wrap up, is there anything you want to say about your own life? Maybe something you wish that we had asked you, and like points you want to make. I know that's very general and broad. But.
Okay. No, I just want to say that I have had a long and a good life, and I enjoy doing history, and I enjoy doing research work, and this is. When I get ready to leave here, this is what I want to leave behind, the work that I did, because I think it's really make me feel really good to know that I can go out and find this history and put it together. That's what this is what I'm living for. Okay.
Yeah. And so,
To do the history.
and so many people get to see that, and it's useful.
And and the next time you guys come, I'll bring you guys all the work I did in Washington State, all the history I put together.
Oh my God,
I mean, I got 25 folders of work that I did like this right here, and histories that I put together. I put together the church there, 100-year celebration. I put that together right before I came here back to Pensacola. The church was 100 years old, the AME church back there, the first black church. So they had been there, for 100 years, but nobody seemed to know that. Okay, and I just love doing research work. Okay, and I just finding the bits and the pieces and putting them together. That's it. And that's a real good theater.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
such important work.
And then, and especially when you got your primary sources and your secondary, your primary sources is really important.
And now you are a primary source. You're in the archive now.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
All right.
That was so excellent.
All right.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank
Thank you for sharing and spending some time with us.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
looking forward to coming back. Once we
All
come.
right. Okay. Then I'm looking forward to you guys coming back. Okay.